Hello, my name is Esther Dominguez, and I will be presenting today on information about the legislation for foster students, AB 167 and AB 216. So just a little background, or I guess facts on foster youth that we know. They are significantly more likely to change schools. They're more likely to be enrolled in low-performing schools. They test below or far below basic at twice the rate of students statewide. They're also more likely to drop out than any other at-risk youth. They have a 58% high school graduation rate, which is the lowest among at-risk student groups. Also, we know that a lot of them are identified for special education services. Yeah. More information. Also, we know that 24% have had at least two placements, so multiple school or home. They struggle with trust and school engagement as a result of this because they're constantly moving. They're often a skill or academic credit gap with their credits, or academically they're behind because of this. There's substance abuse. Like I mentioned before, there's also special education. A lot of them have special learning needs, medical issues, and of course, trauma history. I just want to define foster youth to all of you so that it's clear exactly what students we're talking about. So foster youth is defined as a dependent of the court due to the presence or risk of abuse or neglect. So this includes children who are living at home while a dependent of the court. It also has where they've been removed into a care, custody, and control of social worker. This also includes a child or youth who a court has taken jurisdiction over, or a youth between the ages of 18 and 21 who is enrolled in high school, is a non-minor dependent under the placement responsibility of child welfare, and is participating in a transitional living case plan. We're going to watch a quick video on education experiences while in foster care. So AB 167 and AB 216, it amends the Educational Code of 51225.3, high school graduation requirements for foster youth. So this provides for high schools in California to grant a diploma to foster youth entering high school in the 11th or 10th grade if that student has met the minimum state requirements for graduation. Unless that student is reasonably able to complete the school graduation requirements or the district requirements, then they are eligible to have to meet the minimum requirements of the state. So what does this mean, right? So basically, this means that foster youth who transfer schools after their second year of high school may opt to graduate by completing only state requirements if they can't reasonably complete additional local graduation requirements. So their credits would be reduced based on what the state requires versus what the local district might require. Also, foster youth have the right to remain in high school for an additional 5th year to complete local graduation requirements. So the other option would be instead of reducing the amount of credits, the student is eligible to stay a 5th year to finish the district graduation requirements. It also means that only the education rights holder can exercise the right to graduate under AB 167 or 216. So whoever is the educational right holder for that student would be able to make that decision. So what are the school districts required to do? Let's say the student stays a 5th year. If the student stays a 5th year, then it's the school district's responsibility, which includes the counselor, to inform the student of his or her options to remain in school for that 5th year and how they have to complete the district's graduation requirements in selecting to stay that 5th year. Also, they must inform the student and the person holding the rights to make educational decisions about how remaining in that school for that 5th year needs to be completed and how it'll affect the pupil's ability to gain admission to a post-secondary educational institution. So because they're not necessarily meeting the A through G requirements, this could affect their admissions to maybe like a 4-year university. But it is also important that the school district provides the student with transfer opportunities available through like community colleges. Also, the school district must permit the student to stay in school for that 5th year to complete the school district graduation requirements upon agreement with the student. Let's say the stakeholders decide that they want to be exempt from local graduation requirements. So within 30 calendar days from the date the student transfers into the school, the school district needs to notify the student, the rights holder, I'm sorry, I'm sick, and the student social worker of the availability to be able to have that exemption and whether the student qualifies for the exception. If the student in foster care completes the statewide course requirements before the end of that 5th year, the student is still required to stay for the remaining of that year. So they can't like graduate early that 4th year. If we're reducing their credits, we would continue to have them take courses. Also, the school district should notify the student and the person holding the rights educational decisions of any of the requirements that are waived and how it will affect the pupil's ability to gain admission to post-secondary education, just like if they were to stay a 5th year. So also providing information about the opportunities through community college. If the student in foster care has previously declined to be exempt, a school district shall exempt the pupil at any time if the exemption is requested by the pupil. So let's say the past school that the student attended, they offered this to the student and the stakeholders decided that wasn't the option. If they decide at the second school that, yeah, this is what they want, then they still have that right. Also, the school cannot revoke the exemption. So once it's been granted, it's been granted. So let's see if this presentation helped at all. Here's a little scenario. 11th grader Jesse has moved to 3 high schools in 2 years as a result of being in foster care. Jesse is behind a whole year in credits based on his local requirements. So does Jesse qualify for AB 167 and 216? The answer is yes. Jesse, because he is it's at the end after his 2nd year, and he's a sophomore now. He's a junior now, so he qualifies. He's moved to 3 high schools and is behind credits. So he is eligible. The next question says, should he do the 5th year or the state requirements? What do you guys think? So this was actually a tricky question because that's not for us to determine. This has to be determined by the stakeholders, which would be the rights holder and the students, or just the rights holder actually. They have the say as far as which route they want to go, if they want to go any route. The last question is Jesse eligible to go to a 4-year university once he is done with his requirements? And the answer is no, because at least in California, let's just say Jesse is from California, sorry, the requirements for graduation do not line up with the A through G requirements, which are needed to go to a four-year university. So in this case, we would have to make sure that all the stakeholders know that there's a possibility a high possibility that Jesse is not eligible, will not be eligible to go to a four-year university after he graduates high school. But we would share the options of community college and the ability to transfer into a four-year university. So here's the next scenario, or question, I guess. 12th grade Amanda qualifies for AB 167 and AB 216. As her counselor, what steps are you required to do? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so first we need to advise the students, the right holder, and the caseworker of Amanda's options. Advise the stakeholders of any effects that may result in taking this option, which would be abilities to gain admission to post-secondary universities, completing the 5th or 4th year even after credits have been met, and the option for community college. We also need to make sure we place the plan into action and obtain the correct documentation and signatures as required by your district. And that is my presentation on this legislation. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thanks.